All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be discussing selling high-deductible health plans presented by the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association. Yes, we are trying to do some more health insurance training now, and you're going to be seeing more and more health and Medicare and ancillary product training coming through you through our weekly webinars and into our recorded archive shortly. First things first, as always, we want to make sure everyone's on the same page with our definitions. When we say HDHP, what are we talking about? Well, like we said, it's a high-deductible health plan. It's a type of health insurance that doesn't really work in the same way as a lot of folks think about health insurance working. Most folks who think about health insurance from a consumer standpoint are probably thinking about something more similar to a copay style plan because that's likely what they or their parents had at work. An HDHP is different. It often comes with what we call an HSA component, a health savings account component. It's a unique feature that comes with a high-deductible health plan that allows clients to actually open up a special bank account, a health savings account, to put a certain amount of money into each year, and they can let that money grow tax-deferred, tax-free, and if they spend that money on health expenses, they don't have to worry about paying taxes on the gains. It's a great way to help clients encourage them to save for their own insurance needs and to help them become more involved in their own healthcare decisions. But we're putting the cart a little bit ahead of the horse here. Let's talk a little bit more about traditional health insurance. Back up a step so we can understand how our consumers view health insurance in general and why HDHPs are so different to that picture. When we're thinking about quote-unquote traditional health insurance, we're talking of course about copay style insurance. And this is, like we said, the type of insurance you're probably usually going to run into if you have a standard job and you go to your doctor and it's a $25 copay and your prescriptions are $15 to fill and all that good stuff. We all have seen a health insurance plan like this before. For basic services like that doctor's visit or certain prescriptions, or maybe, and in a lot of cases, even visits to the emergency room or urgent care clinics or specialists, instead of having to pay the full medical bill for the visit, the client would have to just pay a copay, $25, $50, some nominal but set fee that covers the services done at that doctor's office or that covers that prescription or whatever. By doing that, the cost of a doctor's visit is controlled. You don't have to worry about going in for one visit and being $20, the next being $300. Makes it easier to plan for visits, makes going to the doctor less financially stressful, and it's what most consumers are used to doing. The copay is going to cover your basic services, but these style of plans also come with a deductible and coinsurance as well. The first thing that happens when you have some type of medical expense that you haven't met your deductible yet and it doesn't fall under a copay is that your deductible starts to kick in. So let's say you go to your doctor, you're not feeling well, it's a standard routine visit, $25, no big deal. You had to pay your copay, not a big thing at all. Compare that to going, let's say, to the hospital where you may have had to be admitted and there was some more serious health issue there, and it may have taken a little bit longer for you to get things resolved, and there may have been some more investment on the medical practitioner's part. For there, a copay is not going to apply. You had some more serious stuff happen, and you're going to have to pay a little bit more. The amount you have to pay is going to be determined by your deductible. If you've got a $500 deductible, well, the first $500 of medical expenses that you have to pay are going to come straight out of your pocket. If you got a $1,000 deductible, the first $1,000 you have to pay are going to come straight out of your pocket. Your copays don't count towards the deductible. So if you go to a doctor and get your prescription filled and you spend $60 doing that, you got that for $60, but that didn't knock your deductible down at all. So that hospital visit's still going to hit you for the full thing when you go. Usually once you meet your deductible, it's going to be met for the calendar year. And what happens next not the calendar year, depending on the carrier, either calendar year or policy year. What happens next depends on what type of coinsurance you have. Coinsurance is how your insurance company treats your medical charges after your deductible is met. So let's say that you've got a plan with a $1,000 deductible and then 80% coinsurance to a $2,000 maximum out of pocket. Alright, so you go to the hospital, you get admitted, so your copay doesn't apply. You're going to have to start paying some of this out of your pocket. What happens? Alright, first $1,000 of the bill are going to go towards that deductible. So that's all going to come out of your pocket. You pay 100% of that. After that $1,000 is paid, your deductible is met, and now you're in what they call coinsurance. And that means your insurance company is going to pay for a portion of your charges, and you're going to pick up the other share. So if it's an 80-20 split, an 80% coinsurance, and you get a bill for $1,000 and you've already met your deductible, your insurance company will pick up 80%, you'll pick up 20%. So in that instance, you just paid $200 and they paid $800. So let's say, for example, we have a copay style plan where it's $1,000 deductible, $2,000 maximum out of pocket, and an 80% coinsurance, and we get a $10,000 bill. All right, what happens? Copay doesn't apply, we were admitted, so the first thing that happens, first $1,000 comes right out of our pocket, because that's our deductible. All right, there's $9,000 left. All right, now we're in coinsurance, so we know our insurance company is going to pick up a portion of this bill for us. There's $9,000 left. They're going to pick up 80% and we're going to pick up 20%. So 20%, our share, 20% of $9,000 is going to be $1,800. So we paid our $1,000 out of pocket. Now we're paying another $1,800 out of pocket because we're paying our 20% of the coinsurance. So the total amount we've paid is $1,000 plus another $1,800 for that full $10,000 bill. But if you remember, we also said that we had a maximum $2,000 out of pocket. So what could happen here, or what would happen in this example, is we'd pay our $1,000 deductible, then we'd pay another $1,000 to meet our $2,000 out of pocket, and that other $800 we would have owed, because that would have been our 20% of what was left over on the bill, the insurance company will pick it up, because now we've met both our deductible and our out of pocket, and they'll pick up 100% of everything from here out. But they're not going to pick up our copays, they're not going to pick up our prescriptions. So if you go to your doctor, you go get the sniffles, you're still going to have to pay that $25. You go get your prescriptions filled, you're still going to have to pay for that. So those extra charges still stick around even after the fact. Now, that was a little bit complicated, I admit, and let's compare that to high-deductible health plans, which are a lot simpler. No copays, first of all. If you go to a doctor, you get a bill for it. It's whatever the bill is. And it's not going to be the full bill. It's going to be renegotiated, and you're going to get what's called network repricing, and it drops it a lot. But regardless, you'll get essentially the bill. There's no copay. There's a deductible, but there's no coinsurance. So once you meet your deductible, you're done. Let's say that you buy a high-deductible health plan with a $5,000 deductible. You go to a doctor, you don't feel well, they do some tests, the bill comes back at $200. You pay $200, and now you've paid $200 towards your deductible. You got $4,800 left. Let's say you go to the emergency room, you get admitted, terrible things happen, you get a bill for $10,000. You're going to pay that other $4,800. Your deductible is met at that point, and you're done. The rest of your medical expenses for the year are covered. If you have to go to the doctor after that, it's covered. You've already met your deductible. If you have to get a prescription filled, it's covered. You've already met your deductible. Everything is integrated under that one single deductible, and once you've met it, the insurance company is going to pick up the rest of your bills for the year. You're just responsible for everything before that. It's very, very simple. There aren't a lot of moving parts. And that means it's a very different type of policy than that copay policy, because a copay policy has a lot of moving parts. A lot of differences you see here. Number one is the premium difference. Copay style plans are almost always going to be more expensive. Copay style plans are almost always going to be more expensive than high deductible health plans in terms of a monthly premium for any given client. There's a difference in deductible as well. You're probably going to see higher deductibles on the HDHP than you would on the copay plan. So you may see a copay plan with a $1,000 deductible and a high deductible health plan with a $5,000 deductible, and think, oh well, the high deductible health plan, you're open to much more liability. But you have to compare the overall liability as well. Because here's the thing, with a copay style plan, if you've got a $1,000 deductible and a $3,000 out of pocket maximum, your total liability there is going to be that full $3,000, plus all the additional copays you have to pay that year, plus all the additional premium you have to pay that year. So at the end of the year, your actual liability and the amount of money you're laying out may make that high deductible health plan a better deal for you. And what you'll often find if you run the numbers for any given client is that it only takes them getting seriously ill once in their life for a high deductible health plan to make more sense than in any copay plan. Prescriptions as well. And let me back up for a sec. That was a very general comment to make. Of course, it's not the same for every client, but the point that's made there is that you end up paying so much more in premiums for your copay plan and for all those extra little bells and whistles, and you think you save money because you have those bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, unless you're really, really, really using them over and over and over and over and over and over again, like you've got 6 kids and they're all sick all the time, a copay style plan really usually ends up costing you more, because even though you may save a couple of bucks on an individual doctor's visit, the continually higher premiums is going to bleed you dry. Look at your prescriptions too. Make sure that your prescription deductible is integrated when you look at your high deductible health plan. That's one of the coolest things about an HDHP. If you have a broken leg and you need to go fill a prescription after the fact, they both go to the same deductible. And once you meet your deductible, no matter how you get there, you're done. Your medical expenses cover it. With a copay style plan, you're often going to see separate prescription and separate medical deductibles, which means there's 2 different things to keep track of, and again, 2 separate moving parts. And you also want to look out for charges after the deductible is met. The obvious one here is coinsurance. With a copay style plan, you're still going to be responsible for a portion of your bill even after your deductible is met, until you get all the way to your out-of-pocket. But you're also going to still be responsible for the copays at your ongoing doctor's visits, the copays for your ongoing prescription medications. With a high deductible health plan, yeah, the deductible is higher, but once it's met, no more copays, you didn't have copays to begin with, no more charges for the doctor's visits for the year, no more charges for the prescriptions, surgery is fine, whatever you want. Insurance is covering it. When you look at the cost-benefit analysis, in other words, and you factor in the fact that nowadays both types of plans are really across the board, and most carriers are offering free preventative benefits no matter what type of plan you choose, really what it comes down to is the difference in cost for sick visits. Visits you make to the doctor or hospital medical practitioner when you're ill. On a per visit basis, you're going to pay more out of pocket for an individual trip to a doctor with a high deductible health plan. There's no way around it. But you're going to have a lower monthly premium, significantly lower. Your true liability is often going to be lower because once your deductible is met, you're done. You don't have all these other prescription deductibles and coinsurance and all this stuff going on. And unless you are really, 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 really using that doctor very, very frequently, it's very probable that this high deductible health plan is going to be the best bet for you. And even then, if you're going to the doctor that frequently, you may be meeting your deductible quickly enough for it to still make sense. At the end of the day, when you buy a copay plan, what you're really buying are gimmicks and bells and whistles. You're buying the copay, you're buying the peace of mind, you're buying the separate prescription deductible and all that good stuff, and you pay extra premium for that. Most people, the vast majority of people, don't use their plan enough to justify that. High deductible health plans offer a lower cost alternative to health insurance that allow your clients to take greater control over their own insurability. It's a cheaper plan. The liability over the course of the year is generally much lower because once the deductible is met, medical expenses are covered. And all in all, most clients who transition, I would say, end up really, really liking it. Once you break away from having that copay and you realize how little that's actually used, the lower premiums all of a sudden become so attractive that it doesn't even matter anymore. So when you sell high deductible health plans, it's really all about sitting your client down and showing them how much money they're spending each year to get these bells and whistles, to get these copays, and showing them, okay, you think this high deductible health plan is going to cost you money because you might have to pay a little bit more out of pocket for a doctor's visit? Maybe that'll happen, but I guarantee that if you keep this copay plan, you're going to be spending this much extra each month. Once you compare the cost like that, once you show your client where their money is actually going, high deductible health plans very often are the ones that make sense. So that's how you sell them, presented by the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association. Now we want to open things up for questions. So if you guys have any questions, come on down to the right-hand side of your screen in that question and answer chat pane and type them out for us there.